to yourself. You're either not going to have those meetings where it leads to that, or the conversations get real short because people will deal with us in the familiarity that we've let them be accustomed to.
Right.
And it's not there. We allow that because we were once in that place.
Yeah.
And so then they look for that from us. And sometimes they don't recognize that we can't really co-sign on things like we did before because our mind isn't there anymore. And it, that is, you name the number one thing that I noticed as a difference in my life of not having really those relationships anymore, because in being authentic to myself, I can't sit down with you and just listen to
crazy.
And I have to stay true to myself. Meaning, and like I said, most people aren't ready to hear it. And I'm having friends call and say, I need advice about this, or my man did this and blah, 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 blah. And you're going to have to call your man and work that out.
Ask them some questions.
I can't.
And keep
and yet yes. And then they asking me, what you think is happening? What do you think is going on here? It would be so unfair for me to speak on your relationship. It would be so unfair for me to give you my opinion when I don't have the facts. You deserve the truth. So I'm going to allow you to do that. And that is a real conversation I had a week ago with a friend. I haven't heard back from her.
I told my friend, I was like, yeah, like literally the only advice that I can give you is, you're going to have to sit down and ask some questions. And if you don't get the answer, just keep asking the questions. I really don't even, I was just like, I don't know, what to say. I can comfort you and hug you. And now that, that my physical is coming back, because I lost it for a little while, but now that she's coming back and I'm feeling those leaps, that hug was man, I literally felt like I needed to walk out and throw up.
Wow.
Now I have a question though, because what's the difference from you saying that you were there, you were present with her, and she was coming to you with, for advice or just venting or whatever, and you didn't want to tell her the truth or tell her how you really felt, and just you being there and just listening. When are we supposed to hold back, and when are we supposed to say how we feel and say,
I think your authentic self is going to tell you hey, what I'm saying, you need to say something, or this, you're going to get the words. I even told her, I was like, from my vantage point, something similar to what, Miss Robin said, but I was just kind of like, ooh, that's pattern recognition for me. So if I was to give you, any kind of advice, it would be from, that place that I just left and burned,
okay.
But I was like, you need to sit him down and, you need to have the conversation with him. And if you don't like the answer, or if you don't feel that resolve, have another conversation. You keep having them, like your mom said, you keep asking them questions. You just keep asking them. And then, she cried, and she kind of lightweight cornered me, because she was like, she was like, I'm on site. Are you on site today? And I was like, yeah. And I hadn't seen her, since the grand opening. And so I'm walking over there thinking, I'm walking into, oh, thank you for showing up to the grand opening, and you made a catch cake and blah, blah, blah. And I walked into that, and I was like, oh my God. Oh, I wasn't prepared. No, I'm not prepared. So I don't know. I think your higher self will tell you the words that you need to speak, if you need to speak, life into a person that's asking you for whatever,
I always feel like that if somebody is coming to me asking me for advice, I'm going to tell them how I feel, what comes up, as opposed to because sometimes
she wasn't asking.
Oh, she was just, okay. I got you.
She was just venting.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
I'm glad you said it that way, because it is a difference.
Yeah.
It is a difference if someone is soliciting advice from you versus someone just venting.
And the crazy thing is I didn't even know that up until here recently, until I started vibrating at another level. I used to be that person that, because I'm a Sagittarius, so I speak my mind all the time. Literally, it come off and I'd be like, oh dang, I didn't mean to say that.
It's like my grandmother.
Guilty.
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
November 30th.
Man, it'd be tough too. You'd be like, dang. and it don't be mean, like I'm not trying to throw daggers or anything, but like, people, I remember one of my exes was telling me something and I was like, that's some bullshit and your mom on some goofy shit too before I had even like thought about it, right? It had just rolled off and I was like, oh damn, you were not soliciting advice. You were literally just looking for me to listen to you tell me what you needed to tell me, which was some bullshit. But you wanted me to listen to it, so there it is. So that's one thing that I want to say over the past like 2 or 3 months that I've just kind of been, getting quiet and kind of understanding like or asking myself the question like, is this person, seeking a shoulder to cry on or somebody to listen and actually actively listen because it's different, or are they, seeking advice? So I'm glad that you pointed out that it was a difference because it is.
Mm.
I love that you're Sagittarius.
Oh. I had to let go of some of those behaviors too, though, because that wasn't going to be my identity. I do know that there are just some things that the astrology has that can resonate with us, but I can say I have some friends had some friends who lean so heavily on those identities that they didn't recognize their own individuality and that you can move past that.
Yeah.
Because
I didn't know that. I was that person. Yeah. Like I thought that because I was a Virgo, I had to be, all of these things that my sun chart and my sun side said that I had to be, and not knowing that, for sure. And not knowing that I didn't have to really hold dear to those principles. Like there's so much more, I have a rising moon and all of like, I just don't have to identify with astrology and just exactly like what it says that a Virgo, these are the personality traits and these are how you guys should act. Like I didn't know that.
Yeah. And that's a big deal. So you remember when I said some people don't do the work? Some people could find astrology as their form of spirituality and just sit there, and that becomes the gospel for them. That becomes the Bible for them. So they will only be looking for what did my horoscope say or what does my sign say, and their world will be shaped around that belief. It'll just show up because that's what they expect. And that's a very lazy way of being spiritual because you don't have to do any work for that. You don't have to ever look inside. You'll just say it's in the cards, or you'll just think it's all based on what is cosmically happening. And there's not a lot of self-awareness in that world. There's not a lot of self-responsibility because you just think that it's whatever astrology said it's supposed to be. So pseudo spirituality.
Yeah, I find though that I only resonate with the positive stuff for Sagittarius. everything positive, that's me. Non-judgmental, for sure, that's me. Speak your mind, I'm not gonna lie to you, for sure, that's me. Everything else, I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And I was just speaking. I was talking to my Lash Tech not too long ago, and I was saying how, I was like exploring different aspects of myself, and I was letting go of like, some of the beliefs that I held because I was a Virgo and I felt like I should behave and act like that. And he was like, well, you're a Virgo, you're overly analytical, or you're this and you're that. I'm like, yeah, but I don't have to be. Like, I don't have to let those aspects of myself like overpower me. Like I'm all things if you really want to get technical.
That's right. So I love that. I love that you said that. That is good. I love that. But what you just said, like when he began to say we're Virgos and then they think they know your story, it's good that astrology can bring you some awareness.
Right.
So you can kind of look at it like, oh, so that's a pattern. And then you can see where you fit in that. Because if there are some behaviors that resonate with you, then you have to decide, does that serve me now? Or do I want to trade that in? You get to decide. It doesn't have to be, well, I'm going to be this way because I was born on this day at this time. No.
Exactly.
You get a choice in it. So it just helps you understand. Sometimes it can help you better understand yourself, but you always get the choice. As a creator, you can choose. I don't identify with that anymore.
Exactly.
Let me switch that up.
Yeah, it can help me better understand why I responded this way or why I'm even in this situation. You know what I mean? But it doesn't like define who I am as a being. So
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, I put that not thinking before I speak, I put that behind me. Like I
Mhm.
put that all the way behind because I'm like, that's not that's not who I want to be as a person. That's not who I, how I want to show up in the world. And to, like I want to um not always empathize or sympathize, but like I don't always want to be not when you immediately say what's on your mind, it doesn't give you time to process what the other person is thinking. So you're not listening intently, like
Mhm.
you're just kind of, oh, this person said this, so I'm just going to respond, versus okay, this person said this, let me think and then respond. So, yeah, for sure.
Mm, like it.
Well, I
That's
guess we can
expert.
jump into intention now. We've deviated, but it's
Mm.
all good.
It's cool.
Yes.
So our first question to you, Robin, is, how would you define intention? Like, what is intention for you in intention
Well,
setting?
so glad you asked. I come from the school of KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So
Let's go.
intention for me is just a desired outcome. It's what is my desired outcome, and that's how I define intention.
Nice. That keep it simple, stupid brought me back to The Office. I don't know if that's where you got that from, but
Ah.
I'm a fan of The Office. I love
I am too.
that show. I watch it all the time. So my next question is, what does setting an intention look like for you?
Setting intention I look at it as a spiritual practice, even though it's something I can do in my daily life for just about anything. It's a spiritual practice because it saves me time. So it looks like I'm in charge. I have a desired outcome, and then I work my way backwards. So I'm in charge of those things, but what I'm not in charge of is what's going to pop up or show up in my day. But it does help me be able to decide what's coming in and what's going out. I'm going to use my energy. So setting intentions to me means that I don't have to set an intention on what I'm going to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but I don't judge someone that does. But it does look like for those things that I have a certain outcome for that could be time wasters or things that I should or shouldn't be involved in. And I look at it meditatively before I act. And that is very different than the way that I used to respond. I had a reputation of being busy. And people
Yeah.
would literally call me, and they still do because of the old familiarity. They still say, "Oh, I know you're busy. I know you're busy." This thing that used to be glued to me, I'm so detached from now. It's not my world in my life anymore because nothing outside of me I allow to control me anymore. And that came by way of setting intentions. My intention is to live in peace and prosperity, to be of clear and sober mind, to be intimately involved with myself and to know myself. And so just those intentions alone help me not identify with how people saw me. You're so busy. But I start putting me first because I set intentions for how I wanted to be received and how I wanted to show up in the world. So that's kind of what setting intentions look like for me. It is a spiritual practice. I don't ask spirit, what am I having for breakfast or things like that. But the things that do matter to me, I set intentions for them. And even, so this one's even small. I even set intentions when I go to the gym. I used to work out just because I had to check it off of my list. Oh, make sure you work out 3 times this week I do it with intention now. And the funny thing is I instantly started receiving results that I didn't get after months and months of working out because I started working out with intention. I started giving gratitude to my body, my cells, my muscles. Thank you, arms, legs, feet, thighs, for showing up for me, for letting me. When I started having intention in why I was working out, workout changed. I started getting results with doing less work. So intention saves me time. Yeah, it saves me time.
So can
Yeah, that
you
resonates.
Can you walk me through like an intention that you would set, like, what was the intention that you set for today or yesterday or?
For today,